To go back to on this theme, how do we get the balance right? How do we ensure we think through as we move through this terrible crisis where we want to go at the end of it? Of course, you talk about Serbia seeing China as its friend. Now, that is going to be the subject of some very heated discussions because at one level, people are saying, well, that authoritarian and very face concerned regime let this thing get out of control in the first place. On the other hand, you've now got everybody from the World Health Organization down saying, well, China's done a marvelous job of containing it because they were able to, lock their place down effectively. Then you've got a war, if you like, between China and America. China saying, you've denied us several weeks when we could have planned properly. China retorts by saying, well, the dysfunctional and immoral West can't handle it properly. These are going to be very interesting debates about how free works, how we pull together, and how we discern the way in which to capture the benefits of technology, of globalization, of free trade, without sacrificing things like essential supplies of testing, equipment, and what have you, vaccines.
A couple of things. First, I would say that in terms of Chinese self-reporting, as it were, I would, as I'm sure you would, treat it with an enormous degree of skepticism. I know nobody who does business in China who doesn't say that they don't believe any of the books that they're shown. Let's assume that just as the financial books in China are not to be trusted, so their statistics on this latest virus are not to be trusted. And I think that would be my starting point. I mean, and again, it goes back partly to a political truth which we may have forgotten, which is that countries which have governments that are responsible and answerable to the people, by and large, are likely to be, in fact, I think in every situation, are able to be trusted more than regimes which are not remotely accountable to the people and who can cover up lies and perpetuate lies with zero consequence should they wish to do so. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I'm very struck by the fact, as you point out, that there may be an axis that we're turning on here. Australia knows this, I think, better than any other country. I've been very interested in recent years of watching the Australian shift in opinion towards China, something that's obviously gone on in New Zealand as well, and which has not gone on in the same way in Britain, for instance. It has in America. But we were, just until this crisis, we were in Britain about to have a really meaningful discussion about the Huawei issue. And I thought that debate about whether Huawei was going to be allowed to be a provider of 5G in the UK, I thought that was going to be the moment where we could have the discussion about China in the way which Australia has had it in recent years. And I suppose the way I think of this is that we were always on a balancing act with China, which was, we recognized its authoritarian nature. We didn't like it. We weren't wild about anything other than the financial benefit it could bring us. Now, in that situation, what you do is, it's rather like, I don't know, a country allowing a lot of oligarchs from Russia to arrive. You have a sort of tipping point moment. On the one hand, you like the fact there's a bit of fiscal stimulus that comes from very rich people spending basically dishonestly accrued money in your major department stores and that sort of thing. But at some point, there is an ethical price to pay for it. And in the case of China, which is far bigger than the other example I just give, in the example of China, it seems to me the question was always, to what extent we financially benefit from this arrangement, and what is the moment at which we stain ourselves in some greater way through this? So we were always in some kind of calibration of precisely when the moment might be that we knew, as it were, to put it in highly moralistic terms, that we were losing our soul in some way. And I wonder whether, I mean, again, it could be the case that this has no impact on this, that the Chinese buy and PR and deflect their way out of responsibility for this and much more. Or it could be the point at which we realize what we should have been a bit more honest about all along, which is that there is a price to pay for doing the kind of deals that our countries had been willing to do with China.
Well, it's very pertinent in Australia, of course, because they're our biggest trading partner, and we are one of the very few countries in the world that runs a big trade surplus with China.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Regionally affected. The militarization of coral atolls and so forth to the north, rebuilt islands, reclaimed islands, those sorts of things. They do worry people. I'm struck by something that Kissinger said a while ago. He said, in a contest between prosperity and freedom, a little trade lost can surely be regained. Freedom once lost can never be regained.
Yes, that's right.
Freedom is perhaps because it's a bit like eyesight, isn't it? Until we've lost it, perhaps we haven't valued it properly.
Yes.
One of our more thoughtful parliamentarians recently commented that we should never have lost our understanding of the simple fact that a communist is a communist. In the end, a communist will behave as a communist does.
Thank you for watching this episode. We appreciate your support. If you value vital conversations like this one, be sure to subscribe to the channel there and also click the notification bell to stay up to date with new releases.